Welcome back. You were Talk Today. It's 8:25. Papers in just a minute, but here is what else is coming up in this morning's programme.
Have police given up on prosecuting cyclists for traffic offences? So don't ruin this surprise. Stay tuned for a TalkTV exclusive investigation at 8:45. And it's the 31st of October. In around an hour, our reporter, our favourite reporter, Nick Ellaby, asks a real-life witch, not me, how she's planning to celebrate tonight. And at 9:30, as always, it's the Independent Republic of Mike Graham.
Now, the writer and broadcaster Emma Wolfe, a cyclist, and journalist and author James Bloodworth, not a cyclist, are back for a final look at the morning's papers. Em, we'll start with you, page 2 of the Mail. Patients who have spent at least 10 months on waiting lists will be offered treatment hundreds of miles away.
Yeah, so this is a new initiative from the NHS, offering people who've been sat on a waiting list for 9-10 months the option. You can go to a hospital very far away. You can say that you want to limit the area that you can be offered treatment, or you can say you'll go up to 50 or 100 miles. You can kind of say, yes, far or just nearby. Up to 400,000 patients in England will be transferred to a hospital further away. My worry with this is that it's often the non-urgent things where you're sitting on a waiting list for a long time, say like a hip replacement or something. And I think that in those cases, you kind of need to be, you know, if you're older, if you're more vulnerable, if you're on your own, I think you need a hospital near home. I think you need friends and family visiting. So my concern with this, of course, we need to get those waiting lists down. Of course, we need to get people seen and operated on and whatever it is, as soon as possible treatment. But if you are offered this treatment and you say no, my concern is you'll then be sort of, was offered treatment, said no, or sort of moved on to another. You know the way they move you around on waiting lists? Oh, they're not on an urgent waiting list. They're now on a offered treatment.
Semi-urgent waiting list.
Yeah, and you might want to wait for a hospital where you've got family who can look out for
you if you're old.
Yeah, isn't that right, James?
Yeah, it is. I think it's basically it's better than not getting treatment, but it's an admission of failure on the part of the government. I mean, you've got
or the NHS, Jay.
Yeah, you've got a record number of people having to go private now. But I mean, going private's a luxury. I mean, a lot of people can't afford that. We're in a cost of living crisis. It costs thousands of pounds to get even a minor procedure done privately, and it tends to be not to get very party political, but it tends to be at the tail end of Conservative governments. The NHS seems to always be in this state. It was exactly the same in 96, 97, and it's again the same now.
Any plans for the NHS or whoever's in charge of this particular policy funding travel as part of it? Do we know?
Well, no, because the roads have got potholes in them. And all the taxis that get ruined.
And there's a train strike every week.
And what if you're going and you're having something routine like chemo and you're feeling rotten? I just think when you're going to hospital, usually you're at your low point, aren't you? I think there's a lot of issues here. What kind of... You just feel rotten. You don't want to... I live right near Moorfields, which is the leading eye hospital. I see people who have come down from... People have come from Europe for eye operations. They're stumbling along the street. They've come
from Europe?
They come over from Europe for treatment at Moorfields.
Right.
They have got an eye patch on. They've had an eye operation, which is routine stuff. They're trying to get on the tubes, the trains. They're going to go back to
Why are they coming from Europe for an eye operation?
You'll have to ask them, but I imagine a lot of British people live in Europe as well.
Yeah, they're...
I would say it's a bit like, those doctors on Zoom. It's what you said, Jay, to a degree. It's a bit like... It's a little bit, which you feel if you don't accept you're being negative, but actually it's not enough. And I get the point about old people, absolutely. And also if you're going through...
You are one.
Sorry. Wow.
I mean, a lot of older people need family to support them, and I wouldn't put it past the government or the NHS to put sick people on a megabus when they've just had chemo or something, and then they have to sit for 3 hours.
Megabuses on potholes are an absolute nightmare.
What I mean? And what about the backlog that's going on in that hospital? It just feels like a scattered approach, and it makes someone else's problem.
You're going to also have the baby, aren't you?
Yes, I'm going to hospital to have a baby.
We're going to the same hospital, aren't we?
We are, but one of us will be doing it in the private wing and one of us will be doing it with the rest of the commoners.
That'll be me, the second part. The Mail, James.
He'll just be walking around.